Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm going back to work on getting those 2 pages done. What was the thing? Okay. Can I ask Jesse to do it? Okay. Hey, Jesse! Okay, one sec. I'll just call him. Tiff needs help with something. Tiff needs help with something. Go help her, please. Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to finish 2 pages today. That's not being lazy. Gotcha. Catageddon. I don't think anybody here would try to kick your cat. All right. You know, Dad, the way I've heard you talk about Hermes sometimes, I kind of suspect that Hermes happens to be one of your favorite gods. It's just like you never said that as much, but I kind of figured that, like, because every time Hermes comes up, you're always like, Hermes, you gotta do him right. I think he's played by actually. I think in the Percy Jackson movies, they have Hermes being played by yeah, that guy. I was gonna say um I don't know. My depiction of Hermes is this sort of um bug-eyed, crazy, mischievous kid, essentially. Um, That's a nice hubcap. He's a nice hubcap. I just noticed you standing there, and so. Nathan Fillion. That's the guy's name.
Yes.
He had Nathan Fillion playing Hermes.
Yes.
Something about that just seemed odd to me, but
The Sea of Monsters.
yeah. I've read Sea of Monsters. I've read the first and the second book in the Percy Jackson series. Personally, like, I find that the books are entertaining, but I certainly wouldn't want somebody to think of them as educational material. Yeah. Well, Mount Olympus is on the top of freaking the Empire State Building. So I think it's safe to say so, yeah.
Mount Olympus is in New York instead of Greece. Okay.
And, like, the entrance to the otherworld is in freaking Hollywood.
No. It wasn't. Mount Olympus wasn't on the top of the Empire State Building.
It wasn't the mountain, but it was the city.
There was a. I think what they had implied was that there was a. The top of the Empire State Building had a door.
Yeah. Well, in the book, it actually was described as looking like the top of a mountain had just been cut off and stuck there.
On the top of the Empire State Building.
But there was a glamour on it, so you couldn't really see it, unless you were actually going there. Like, you knew where you were going, but, like, passerbys couldn't tell. But, the problem... What they explained in the books was that, the excuse that they gave in the books was that, what they said in the book was that the Greek gods just moved wherever the heart of the Western world was, quote unquote. Which is why, like, the Romans had this worship the same set of gods. They just had different names for them. and so that the gods just kind of moved around.
But apparently weren't particular about what names we lived for.
Yeah, not really. But and I guess I can buy that sort of, but I feel like Percy Jackson just it was too kitschy, like it's too like we're over modernizing this mythology. It's okay to modernize it a little bit, but I feel like it got to a point where it wasn't really true to the stories anymore. It didn't I don't think it did anything that openly contradicted Greek mythology. Like there wasn't anything in there that definitely was definitely false that I can think of off the top of my head. Just a lot of over modernizations that made it really awkward. Like the taxi cab with the fates in it. Not that that wasn't cool, I suppose, or funny. I mean, the books were funny, but just I wouldn't suggest it to somebody to use as learning material on Greek myth. I definitely wouldn't, because it takes a lot of liberties. Mm. Oh, that's a neat little character. Anyway, but not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is I gotta design some fancy looking gates for Olympus. Stop telling me about the freaking thingamajiggy. It's not even. But, oh, that looks pretty. Go away. Not sure if it's very Greek, but. Daddy, what do you think of this design? I'm trying to find a picture of some gates that I think might look nice. Some design concepts for the gates of Olympus. That one looks kind of nice, but I don't know if it really fits Greco-Roman. Like it feels more English, I think. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think anybody would notice it being remarkably out of place, outside of it being a bit. I think it's a bit complicated for the era.
Right.
If you
Well, the thing is, we're talking about the gates of Olympus is the thing. So complicated just seems kind of appropriate.
okay, well, if that's the case, then I don't see any problem with them.
That's too. I don't know. Maybe, admittedly though, maybe it might be overcomplicated. Maybe you are right. Maybe it may just be
I was just thinking that I don't think that the art style of the time tended to be that
elaborate.
busy.
Yeah.
I think that the art style.
What about something a little bit more like
Tended-
this? Not necessarily this per se, but something a little bit more like this
more simplified.
in its design.
I don't think anybody's going to notice or care one way or the other which one you choose.
I want them to look nice. Um, it feels important to me. It's the gates to Olympus, and it just feels like should be important.
Okay, well that's fine. I just don't think I don't think your readers are going to notice that the design of the gate is from Elizabethan England.
You don't, huh?
Unless the design of the gate has like weird shit on it, like pictures like statues of Cupid.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a dead giveaway. I think if there was going to be any imagery that was reminiscent of a particular god on the gates, it would be something reminiscent of Zeus. I mean, in the Hercules movie, that Disney Hercules movie, they put thunderbolts on the gates in reference to Zeus.
Yeah.
Which I felt like that was actually a pretty good design. But I don't want to do that same design concept because then I'm going to just be ripping them off. I don't want to just rip off what um, Disney did. Maybe I can work a thunderbolt pattern into this in a way that doesn't look just like the Disney version. And in response to your comment about I don't think your audience is going to care if it looks
I don't think most of the people that read the comics will.
I mean, Yes, most of the people reading my comics probably won't know the difference. But the point is that um, the thing is that I make a point of trying to make what's in my stuff um, as accurate as I can get it. As accurate as I can get it while still adding my own sense of style to it. Like I modernize things a little bit, but I want things to be reasonably accurate is my thing. I like having as much accuracy in this series as I can. Drawing thunderbolts is kind of weird because the way that we draw them isn't actually what they look like. Lightning is actual lightning is all kinds of crazy and twisted and yeah. Actual light like realistic looking lightning's kind of hard to draw actually. It's not super hard, I guess. It's just making it look convincing isn't easy. Damn, I gotta pause, take the dogs out. Yeah, I know. I'll be there in like 2 seconds. Yep, I'm aware of the time. I hear you, Chasey Bean. I'm aware. I'll be back in a sec. No, I wasn't talking to you. Yeah, but you said you did it. Yeah, there was somebody watching me draw. There's only like one person there at the moment, but I'm taking the dogs out. Honey. I'm Chase. Oh, I'm not. Okay, back. Ta-da. Wow, one person. Well, there's 3 people now. There was one person, now there are 3 people. It's starting to we're starting to get a party going. Alright. Now, ooh, I know. Duplicate. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And then move this layer underneath the other one. Well, wait. I'll just move it a little bit. And then move it under this one. Ha! Ha! Ha ha ha! Now I got a nice 3-dimensional gate. Alright. Needs a lock. Actually, should be slightly on the top there. And then old school lock. Merged on. Okay, yeah. Merged down. So there. That doesn't really look like a most convincing lock ever. Not. Whatever, I'm gonna leave it that way, because from the start, let's bring this corner up just a little bit. So that you're okay. Apply. Now, duplicate. Transform. Hmm. Apply. There we go. That looks like it works. Apply. Okay, that actually looks pretty nice. It's not too elaborate. That's pretty nice, actually. I think I can just, I was going to put little spirally bits in these parts here, but I think that actually looks alright just as it is. I like that actually. Yeah. There was also apparently an episode in which they did something to him in Pokemon where he could feel all the pain that Pikachu felt when he got attacked. Now, what I think is kind of fucked up is the fact that after going through that, he still didn't stop doing Poke battles. I would think that something like that would make a person never want to do it again. But like, oh my god, you're my best friend and I've been putting you through all this pain. Like, nope, I'm still gonna make you fight. What? Who the fuck does this to their pets? Like, Pokemon is fucked up in that regard. It's just. I mean, Pokemon games are fun to play and all, but like the reality of a world where their whole culture is built around mass animal abuse is really disturbing. Nope, nope. Well, I've got a couple of people in here. What do you guys think of the old sort of tagline thingamajigger that I've been sticking at the end of my videos as elite? Hmm. What's the story all about? It's cleaner. I want to do digital art so bad it looks cleaner and brighter than traditional. Yes, that's why I like digital art, because it's very bright and it's very clean and colorful. Um, I really love doing digital art. Um, uh, in response to what this is about, um, this one that I'm working on currently, this one that you guys are watching me work on currently is A Place for Hydia. It is part of what will be a graphic novel series called The Hearts of Men. Now, The Hearts of Men is about mythology from all over the world. And this one, which is going to be the first book in the series, is Greek mythology. The next one after this is Celtic, and then Norse, Egyptian, etc. Essentially, each book in the series follows a demigod character of some sort. Um, and that character goes through some kind of journey. And this first book, the character in this one is a guy named Silas, who is the son of Athena. Ironically, Athena ended up, like, when he was born, he was a demigod. She didn't really want the kid. She just kind of stuck him somewhere. She left him on the doorstep of a Catholic monk. So Silas was raised actually by a Catholic monk. And in the beginning of the story, his plans for his life are to probably just to spend his whole life devoted to the church. Um, we start the story out in Milan, and the church in particular that the Silas attends, um, and is also pretty much where he spends most of his time, is the Milan Cathedral, which you can look up. I forget what the Italians call it. I mean, I'm going to go by what the Italians actually call it. The people in Milan call it, but I don't remember what they call it off the top of my head. So I'd have to go back and look that up again. But um, this first book is kind of actually a funny duck in the series, in that most of the books really just focus on that demigod character almost completely. Whereas this one actually has essentially two main characters, and that is Silas and Hades. Because Hades in the story actually gets just about as much screen time as Silas does. Um, whereas most of the books in the series really only have like the one protagonist, and that protagonist might have a sidekick, but the story really does focus almost solely on this one character. And this book in the series is an exception to that general rule. Um, why do I focus so much on Hades? Because he's my favorite of the Greek gods. Specifically, I actually really love the tale of Hades and Persephone in particular, and so that became a big focus in this particular story. Um, oh, that's a smudge on the screen. That's not actually a thing. So, the general plot of this book, the plot synopsis for this book in the series, is that Hades and Persephone have two children in this story, Heresy and Hydia. Heresy being the god of good fortune, and Hydia being the goddess of bad fortune, right? Misfortune, right? So, the story goes that when the twins are born, the son, Heresy, is really pretty and attractive and whatnot, and their daughter, Hydia, is very ugly. And Hades is embarrassed by his daughter, so he throws her off Mount Olympus. And so then when Persephone finds out what happened, she's real mad, and so she goes running to Zeus and tells him what happened, and Zeus says, Hades, you gotta find the kid and bring her back, right? And Hades ends up on this rather interesting quest that turns out to be just a long sort of series of clusterfucks on his end. Um, Mostly because, he's looking for the goddess of misfortune and she doesn't want to be found. So naturally, he's just, running into every wall he can. Um, and so Athena, who has this demigod son, Silas, decides that she's just going to ask her kid. She's going to go to Silas, even though she's never talked to the kids. Like, he hasn't seen her since she was a baby. That she's going to go to him and be like, hey, you're going to help us with this thing. And she totally doesn't care that her appearing and asking him for help has just totally ruined him emotionally and like shattered his faith and is this big groundbreaking event for him. She doesn't really care. She's just like, oh, hey, yeah, you're my son and I need you to do this thing for me. Silas ends up teamed up with Hydia, essentially. I guess I don't really want to spoil the whole book for you guys, but things get interesting. Um, so actually, so yeah. Originally, actually, Dare the Little Dead Boy was originally supposed to be the first book in this series, which centers around Annabeth, who is one of my personal favorite characters in the series. Um, Admittedly, though, I think Annabeth, I like Annabeth the way that I do and have the connection that I do because she's one of those characters that I personally kind of put a lot of myself into in a lot of ways. I mean, not so much that she's like me necessarily, so much as it is just that her backstory, um, mirrors some of my own personal life experiences. Although I really like Annabeth, though, I think my definitive favorite character in this series is gotta be Issy, and that's just because I feel like she's got the most interesting character arc, or one of the coolest character arcs. I feel, um, each character's book really deals a lot with personal evolution to some extent or another. It's a lot of the sort of kind of figuring out who you are kind of thing in some way, shape, or form. In this book, it's a lot of stuff about religion, really, and Silas is coming to sort of having to sort of redefine his world in a spiritual sense. Um, but in Issy's book, I feel like she has one of the most relatable character arcs, just in generally relatable character arcs, because hers is all about, well, relatable if you're a girl anyway. Hers is all about sort of becoming a woman, going the transition from being a girl to a woman. Um, and I guess since I have so many females in my audience, since my audience is so overwhelmingly female, that I suppose that would probably make her pretty relatable to most of my audience, just in general. Um, I think there might be something that a guy could take away from the book too. I don't think that a guy wouldn't enjoy it, but I feel like particularly if you're a girl, Issy's book is very, very relatable. Um, Issy actually, in her book, growing up, she grows up with her father and her stepmother, and her father is abusive, not to her but to her stepmom, and so as a young girl, seeing that on a regular basis, she really has kind of a poor example of how women should be treated and whatnot, and it really kind of hurts a girl's sense of worth to see that sort of thing all the time. Not to mention, obviously, she's growing up in Cairo in 1960 something that Issy's book takes place in. A lot of these books takes place in the late 60s or early 70s. But Issy was 5 or so, 4 or 5 in the late 50s. So she's actually one of the older characters in this series. Um, Annabeth is 17 in 1972. This one is 1960 something, I think. A lot of these books are tied in with historical events is the thing. So like Annabeth's gets tied in with some of the IRA violence. Um, Silas's book, the beginning of it makes reference to a protest that went on in Milan. It was people protesting, workers protesting for better wages and stuff like that, and um, and I think there was also something about protests on behalf of the educational system as well. So, but Issy ends up like when she's in the trilogy, because all these books end up leading into a trilogy at the end. Um, and Issy in the trilogy is freaking awesome. She's such a badass in the trilogy. She goes from being this mousy little girl at the beginning of her own book, this really mousy little girl with very little sense of self worth, to um, this really badass independent female character, and it's I feel like it's really great to watch to see that character arc, to see her break out of that shell and really like it doesn't just become an issue of coming to terms with her heritage because she's the daughter of Isis. Um, it's it's really not so much about like a lot of some of these books are kind of put some weight on coming to terms with their identity as demigods, but hers really isn't much about that. It's really mostly about her um, really coming to uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing my train of thought here. Ah, fuck it. I forgot what I was saying. Oh well. It's about sort of developing her sense of self worth, about learning, it's about what you learn, like, as a woman, learning what it means to be a woman in more ways than one. In some ways, it's about, like, for everything from learning to be strong-willed and independent to the sexual nature of being a woman. um, you know gender roles are not what define us. She gets kind of lessons from various different goddesses throughout the book. Isis teaches her all this powerful magic and sort of helps her realize what she's capable of. And one of my favorite scenes, I think, in the book, really, that kind of sums up the overall tone of it, is a scene where she's riding on the back of this hippo goddess. And I'm suddenly forgetting the goddess's name, but she's riding on this goddess's back down the Nile, and then they come across a couple of male hippos who are fighting, and Issy sort of squeaks and shies away because she's frightened by it. And the goddess says to her, don't be afraid, child, they're only men. I feel like that kind of pretty well sums up the overall atmosphere of the story, just in general. That it's, you know, men aren't any better or stronger than women. Being a woman is a lot more complicated than just these sort of stereotypical gender roles. So there's one brick. Come on. Spoiler alert, if you didn't know, Issy and Silas actually get paired up together in the trilogy. There's not romance isn't such a heavy element in this series. I mean, some of my stuff it's kind of a heavy element, but in this series not so much. Um, they're out of the 10 major characters in this series. Um, only like 4 of them actually have romantic interests. Like Silas and Issy both hook up with each other. Anton marries a Valkyrie. And then, so as Anton marries a Valkyrie, Issy and Silas get together. And it's implied that there is some kind of romantic tension between um, Annabeth and Sith. The reason I say implied, because whenever I talk like that about my own comics, people are always like, it's your story, you should know definitively whether or not this thing is a thing. And the reason I say implied is because the truth is, I never really committed to making Annabeth and Sith a romantic pair. They were only ever really originally just intended to be companions. And so any sort of romantic tension that started to form between the characters um, is kind of one sided. Like, I don't know, maybe Annabeth has a thing for Sith, but if she does, she doesn't really show it. Fun. References, yay! Don't know if anyone got that one or not. Phineas and Ferb. Hey, yay, gold bricks. Lots and lots of gold bricks to make up. Because Olympus has some really expensive flooring. Olympus is a swanky, swanky place. Real swanky. There you go. Wait. There. Gates of Olympus. Voila. Well, I don't think that's that bad, actually. What do you guys think? Look at it. Norse mythology. What did I say about Norse mythology? Did I say something about it? What did I say? Oh, yeah, I said that Anton marries Valkyrie. Well, he does. He marries a Valkyrie. That happened all the time in Norse mythology. They were constantly having Nordic heroes marry Valkyries. It's a real common thing. If you were somebody cool in the Nordic world, then Odin let you marry Valkyries. But you had to be in the cool people's club for that. So yeah, my personal goal is to try and I want to have the first book of this series finished and ready to be published by next year. That is my personal objective. Um, and hey, if working on it with you guys might just help me get it done, because I've been actually moving along rather nicely on this. The goal for today is get 2 pages done. Fortunately, I'm still on this one page, but you know, I may still be able to do another page before I go to bed tonight. I still got all day. I mean, don't don't have work today. It just means I might be up late tonight working on this. I may. Just working on dinner. So I'll have to get off when dinner's done to go eat. Then I may get back on. It's 7 o'clock now. Hermes is. Well, I don't know. I think that's a decent flesh tone for Mediterranean person. I mean, the hair is too light, but I mean, they're gods. I give them a little more leeway. They're allowed to look a little odd. A lot of times in the series, I try to make my character designs in such a way that the characters actually look like they're from where they're supposed to be from. Um, Silas again is an exception in that regard. Like a lot of all the other characters in the series, well, I guess Anton doesn't look distinctively Norwegian, but I don't really know what would make him look distinctively Norwegian. Anton has dark hair and kind of pointed facial features. I don't know. I guess the pointy nose and stuff maybe looks Norwegian. I don't freaking know. Norwegians are just white guys. I don't know many super distinctive traits for a Norwegian, but with Silas, he still has the darker skin that you would expect from an Italian, but his hair, he's blonde with blue eyes, and then like that dark Mediterranean skin. So it admittedly looks a little funny. Actually, his adopted father, the guy who raised him in this series, Brother Anthony, always calls Silas Galo or Capelli Gali, which is Italian and it means yellow or yellow hair. Um, I like those little touches, like Anthony's nickname for Silas. Like he walks in the door and Anthony's like, Capelli Gali, come in, blah blah blah. They start talking. I feel like these little touches help to make the story more convincing, the characters more convincing. I like Brother Anthony as a character. Um, I feel like Anthony was actually a pretty well done character, despite only really being a background character and not getting a lot of screen time in this particular comic. I feel like he still comes across as being a cool character. Like he feels like a real person. Um, I like adding those little touches. And I actually I looked up the Italian word for yellow. I do a lot of research for the Hearts of Men series. Like not just researching mythology, but researching culture and whatnot as well. Like when I was working on Dear Little Dead Boy, I spent a bunch of time researching um, Irish slang, specifically stuff that people say in Belfast, because that's where Annabeth's book takes place, is in Belfast, and let's see. Edit. Gonna add a little bit of fog, sort of create a sort of ambiance here, because this is Olympus after all. So we'll have a little bit of foggy, cloudy sort of mist. You could set the plate on top of the cat. There. Hey, it looks like some pretty finished artwork for for the first page. Text. No, wait, not done. Not done yet. Not done. Cause I still have to shade this shot of Hermes down here. Look at my cute little Hermes. Isn't he adorable? I love my Hermes. I love my little Hermes. He's so adorable. My my crazy looking bug-eyed kid. I gotta go use the restroom. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, back. Excuse me. So, I was on here earlier, and there are like 2 people watching. Mind you, there's only 3 people currently, but there's like 2 people watching earlier, and um, then I sniffled, and all of a sudden it went from 2 to 1. And so I was just like, Jesus, I gotta try and avoid sniffling because it must sound really bad. Like when people hear me sniffle on the recording, it must sound really bad. But problem is, I have like this eternally stuffy nose. I've done everything I could possibly think to do about it. Nothing really works. So if I sniffle, I apologize, but there really is nothing I can do about it. Trust me, I've tried. Nothing works. So, but if I'm talking, I'm less likely to sniffle, just cause I'm preoccupied talking. So, I guess I still sniffle from time to time, but not as much if I'm talking. Dinner's in the work. In the works. In the works. Okay. I think that looks about right. I will actually have to go pretty soon here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go in just a minute. On the flip side, nearly done with this page here. Very, very nearly. Food smells good. Black eyes open. That's what I'm doing. It. I'm not young. You want to go. I don't have to say I'm sorry. Come home. In this case, the stormy sky is actually more than just theatrical. It actually has an explanation. Zeus is in a foul mood, so it makes sense for the sky to be stormy. As opposed to the sky just being stormy just for the sake of creating atmosphere. Before I go, I'll just show you guys real quick. Just a quick look at this digital painting I was working on earlier. Thought I'd show you. This would look really, really nice. I'm so proud of this jewelry here. I'm so freaking happy with the jewelry. It's beautiful. You can see all the little shiny bits on the gems and little red pearls and stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna go for now, guys. But yeah, here's what we got. All I got left to do is add Hades' chariot right there, and then put in the dialogue, and then this page will be done. I will probably not live stream again tonight, but if you guys would like, I can do more of these when I'm working, so you guys can check in anytime when I'm working on a comic and see how it's coming along. Give me your ideas, comments, whatever have you. And with that, I end this live stream. Talk to you guys later, and don't take yourself too seriously.